Hello, students of 6th Primary. Welcome back to Unit 9, Cities Around the World, Part 1. Let's first have a look at the learning objectives of Lesson 1, which is the conversation time. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to interview an airline pilot. You will also be able to identify speakers in a conversation. Characters of the conversation. We have Ramy and Laila, who are going to interview Captain Marwa. Story of the conversation. Laila and Ramy are at the airport. They are making an interview with Captain Marwa for the school newspaper. They are asking her some questions about her job. Listen and repeat. Captain Marwa, we'd like to interview you for our school newspaper. Could we ask you a few questions? Sure, go ahead. How many female pilots work for your airline? I think 1/3 of the pilots are female. Do you ever fly abroad? Yes, I have an overseas flight once a month. Do you fly the plane by yourself? No, I always have a co-pilot. Do you like being a pilot? Yes, very much. Thanks for your time, Captain Marwa. My pleasure. Let's move to the main vocabulary. Cities. This is the plural form of the word city, and a city is a large town where people settle and live. Pilot and co-pilot. The pilot is the one who flies the plane, and the co-pilot is the one who helps him or her to fly the plane. Female. A female is a lady or a girl or a woman, and the opposite is male, a man or a boy. Plane. We take a plane to fly from one country to another. Flight. Flight is the trip itself, the action of flying from one place to another. The trip is called the flight. Airline. Airline. Airline is the company that flies the planes. We have Egypt Air, we have the British Airways, and so on. Abroad. To travel abroad means to go outside your country. Overseas. To fly overseas means you cross the ocean or the sea from one country to another. Once a month, once a year, that means one time a month or one time a year, and so on. 1/3. If you divide anything into 3 parts, one part is called 1/3. More vocabulary. Newspaper. You have a school newspaper that talks about the news of the school. We have many newspapers outside the school as well, like الأهرام, الأخبار. It tells us about the news of the country. Around. As you see, the arrow is going around something. The world. The whole world. All continents, all countries. Woman. Chef. The chef is the one who cooks the food. How often? How often do you go to school? We go to school 5 days a week. How often do you visit your grandparents? I visit my grandparents once a month. So, how often asks about how many times you do this action. Conjugation of verbs. We have regular verbs that follow the rule and irregular verbs that do not follow the rule. First, the regular verbs, and as we know, we add ed to these verbs. Interview, interviewed, meaning asking questions. Work for, worked for. Ask, asked. And for the irregular verbs, we have think, thought, and fly, flew. Expressions and phrases. Go ahead means start. Thanks for your time. After you finish something, like they interviewed Captain Marwa, at the end they thanked her for giving them some time. My pleasure. And she said, it was nice to meet you. I had a nice time. Language functions. Number 1, polite request. A polite way to ask somebody to do something. We'd like to interview you for our school newspaper. And as we see, the form is subject plus would plus like to plus the infinitive. We, this is the subject, would like to, this is the main part of the polite request, plus the infinitive, which is interview. Or we can say could plus subject plus infinitive. Could we ask you a few questions? This is another way to ask a polite request. And she answered, sure, go ahead. Another language function, asking about the numbers. How many female pilots work for your airline? How many is the question word that asks about numbers, and the plural noun here is pilots. I think 1/3 of the pilots are female. 1/3 is the number that she gave in answer to their question. More language functions. Asking about repeated actions in the present. Do you ever fly abroad? This is a repeated action. Do you ever fly abroad? So the form is do or does plus the subject plus ever. Yes, I have an overseas flight once a month. So how often do you do this? I do it once a month. More language functions. Asking about likes. Do you like being a pilot? So the form is do or does depending on the pronoun or the noun, whether it's singular or plural, plus like plus infinitive plus ing. Do plus you, this is the singular pronoun, plus like being, this is the infinitive, plus ing. Yes, very much. Checkpoint. Listen and complete. This is a dialogue between Hani and Captain Marwa. Hani is interviewing Captain Marwa for the school newspaper. Hani starts with a polite request. Could we ask you a few questions? Captain Marwa, sure, go ahead. Hani, how many female pilots work for your airline? Captain Marwa, I think 1/3 of the pilots are female. Hani, do you ever travel abroad? Captain Marwa, yes, I have an overseas flight once a month. Let's say it right. Notice that the letter C is usually pronounced as S if it is followed by E, I, or Y, as in cities. The letter C is pronounced as K in captain, co-pilot, and could. The letter S is pronounced as Z in newspaper. The letters TI in question are pronounced as Ch. The letters TH in third are pronounced as Th. The letters GH in flight are silent. The letters CH in much are pronounced as Ch. And the letters SU in pleasure are pronounced as J. Another checkpoint, listen and circle. How many female pilots work for your airline? 1/3 of the pilots are female. Number 2, How often do you have an overseas flight? 3 times a week. Do you like being a pilot? Yes, I do. Could we ask you a few questions, please? Sure. Checkpoint. Choose the suitable answer. Number 1. Huda is a pilot. Male, that means a man. Female, woman. Boy, a young man or man. Huda is a female pilot. From the name Huda, we know that she is a lady. Number 2. How many female pilots work for your school, museum, airline, bank? Where do pilots work? Pilots work in the airline. Number 3. Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead means start. Number 4. We'd like to pass, read, interview, play Captain Marwa for the school newspaper. They are going to ask her some questions, and this means they are going to interview her for the school newspaper. Number 5. How many, how much, how far, how long female pilots work for your airline? Remember we said, what's the question word that asks about the number? Yes, how many? Number 6. A chef, a teacher, a farmer, a co-pilot helps the pilot and works for the airline. Who helps the pilot? The co-pilot. He is the helper of the airplane. Number 7. Do you like? Yes, what comes after like? Infinitive plus ing. So do you like being a pilot? And number 8. My teacher asked me questions. Questions, are they countable or uncountable? Yes, they are countable. They can be counted. So we cannot say much or even little. So she asked me a few or a lot of questions. She asked me a lot of, and there is no of here, so we have to choose a few questions. More questions. Circle the odd one and replace it with a correct one. Number 1. Female, pilot, chef, and nurse. Pilot, chef, and nurse are jobs, are professions. So we're going to replace the word female with another job like a teacher. Number 2. Think, fly, month, and ask. Think, fly, and ask are 3 verbs. So we're going to replace the word month with a verb like make. Number 3. Plane, car, bus, third. Plane, car, and bus are means of transportation. So we're going to replace the word third by bike, for example. Number 4. School, hospital, museum, and dog. School, hospital, and museum are places. So we're going to replace the word dog with a word like cinema. Number 5. How, what, where, and when. How, what, and when are question words. So we're going to replace this verb where, which is the past tense of verb to be, with the question word where that starts with WH. Rearrange the following words to make correct sentences. Questions: we, a few, you, could, ask. To form a question, we're going to start by could. Could we ask you a few questions, please? This is a polite request. Number 2, interview newspaper with school you, our, like to, for. We're going to start by would like to interview you for our school newspaper. Number 3, you ever abroad do fly? To form this question, we're going to start by do. Do you ever fly abroad? Number 4, have overseas an I flight a month once? So the answer to question 3 is I have an overseas flight once a month. Now we're going to move to lesson 2, and we're going to start by the learning objectives of word time. By the end of this lesson, we are going to be able to read short sentences, to write short sentences, and to learn a lot of vocabulary about cities and months. Main vocabulary. Here we are going to learn about some cities around the world. Number 1, Rome. Rome is the capital of Italy. Cairo. Cairo is the capital of Egypt, our country. Tokyo. Tokyo is the capital of Japan. London. London is the capital of England. Seoul. Seoul is the capital of South Korea. New York. New York is a big city in the United States of America. Paris. Paris is the capital of France. Honolulu. Honolulu is the capital of Hawaii, which is an island that is one of the states of the United States of America. San Francisco. San Francisco is a big city in the United States of America. And Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a big city in China. Listen and repeat. Now we are going to find these cities on the map. Number 1, Rome. As we said, Rome is the capital of Italy and it is in Europe. Number 2, Cairo. Cairo is the capital of Egypt and it is in Africa. Number 3, Tokyo. Tokyo is the capital of Japan and here it is in Asia. Number 4, London. We said that London is the capital of England and here it is in Europe. Number 5, Seoul. Seoul is the capital of South Korea. Number 6, New York in America, in the east coast of America. And number 7 is Paris. Here it is in Europe, the capital of France. Number 8, Honolulu. Honolulu is the capital of Hawaii, an island. Number 9, San Francisco. Again, it's a city on the west coast of the United States of America. And number 10 is Hong Kong, which is a big city in China. More vocabulary. Lift. Lift means to carry, to move something from down to up. Here it seems that it is very heavy. And this is the second word, heavy. It means weighing a lot. It's difficult to carry. Number 3, night. This is the time between one day and the next day when it is dark, when you look at the sky and you can see the moon and the stars, and usually we sleep at night. Coffee. A hot drink made from coffee powder and boiling water. Many people like to drink coffee in the morning. Conjugation of verbs. Regular verbs: want, wanted; need, needed. Irregular verbs: see, saw; let, let; come, came; and drink, drank. Expressions and phrases. What a cool plane! What a nice plane! Come on, let me see it. He wants to see it. Let me help you. It's very heavy. He cannot carry it alone, so another boy tells him to help him or offers his help. Listen and point to the speakers. We have a boy and a girl. The boy is making a model plane and the girl wants to have a look at it. Girl, what a cool plane. I want to see it. Boy, no. Girl, come on, let me see it. Listen and point to the speakers. We have two boys. One boy is carrying a heavy box and another boy is trying to help him. Boy 1, I can't lift this by myself. It's so heavy. Boy 2, here, let me help you. Boy 1, thanks. Third conversation, listen and point to the speakers. Mona, do you ever fly at night? Pilot, yes, I often fly at night. I need a lot of coffee. Mona, how much coffee do you have? Pilot, I usually drink 4 cups of coffee. Asking about quantity. How much plus the uncountable noun. We cannot count the coffee, so we ask about coffee with how much. How much coffee do you have? And the answer is, I usually drink 4 cups of coffee. We can count the cups, but we cannot count the coffee. Checkpoint. Listen and complete. This is a dialogue between Karim and a pilot. Do you ever fly at night? Yes, I usually fly at night, so I have a lot of coffee. Karim, how much coffee do you have? Pilot, I usually drink 4 cups of coffee. Karim, do you like being a pilot? Pilot, yes, very much. More questions? Listen and circle. We are going to listen to 4 mini dialogues and we are going to circle the correct answer. Number 1. What is he doing? He is throwing a ball. Number 2. How often do you build a sand castle? Once a year. Number 3. How often do you get a haircut? Once a month. Number 4. Can you say the alphabet? Yes, I can. Choose the suitable answer. Number 1. Cairo, London, Paris, Honolulu is the capital of Egypt. Of course, Cairo. Number 2. Paris, Tokyo, Seoul, Rome is in Italy. We said which city is the capital of Italy? Rome. Number 3. Tokyo, Paris, Rome, London is the capital of England. England is in Europe and its capital is London. Number 4. London, Paris, Honolulu, Cairo is a city in the United States of America. We said Honolulu is the capital of Hawaii, which is an island and it's a state in the United States of America. Number 5. I can't lift it by myself, himself, herself, itself. It's so heavy. I can't lift it by myself. Number 6. Tokyo. Yes, this is very easy. Tokyo is the capital of Japan because this is a singular noun. Number 7. Let me. What comes after let? The infinitive. Let me help you. And number 8. Do you ever fly at night? This is the correct preposition before night. Rearrange the following words to make correct sentences. Number 1. Yesterday, 2. Flew Paris, she. We're going to start by the pronoun she. She flew to Paris yesterday. Number 2. This is a question. You do ever at night fly? We're going to start by do. Do you ever fly at night? Punctuate the following sentences. Number 1. He went to Rome in August. Yes, we're going to write Rome starting with a capital letter because it's a proper noun. It's a name of a city, and August is a name of a month. So both of them are proper nouns and they have to start by a capital letter. Number 2, where is she from? We're going to start by a capital letter because this is the beginning of the question, and we're going to end it by a question mark. By this, we come to the end of part 1 of cities around the world, and see you in part 2.